Hi there, this is Abhishek, and in this video I will talk about how you can access a particular value in a vector and how you can also filter the vector based on a certain condition. Then I will move ahead and talk about how you can create matrices within R, and then I will move ahead and tell about how you can access or filter matrices based on the particular condition. So let's go ahead and first talk about the vectors. And if you recall from my previous videos where I have shown you how you can use the combine or scan command to create a small or a simple data set. So that data set is nothing but a vector. So let me just show you again here. So let's say we want to create a vector where we have a couple of numerical values. So I'm creating an object X and using the C command, which is a combine command you can say, and creating some data set called 4, 6, 7, 3, 9 and 2. So this is basically a vector which has 6 values, and now if I want to print this, this is the result, the same thing which I have created over here. Now if the case is I want to, based on my certain condition, I want to access only the value 8, then I would say X, and within these brackets I would say 3. It will going to give me the third value, because I'm saying, hey vector X, give me the third value. Third value is first, second, third, the value 8. Similarly, if I want the last value, then I would say, hey vector, give me the sixth value, and it will give me 2. Now there may be some scenarios where you want to access all the values or want to fetch all the values from the vector except one single value or two values which you don't want as a result. So in that case, you can use a negative sign, let's say -5. So what it will going to tell that from this vector we just don't want the fifth element, which is 1, 2, 3, 5, number 9, but all the other elements it should return. So when I hit enter, the outcome is 5 values and does not have the value 9. Similarly, if I don't want both 4 and 5 value, then I need to modify my logic a little bit, and I would say using the combine command, hey, I don't want 4 and I don't want 5. In this case, it will not going to return the 3 and 9. It will only return 4, 6, 8 and 2. So in this way, you can only access the elements which you require by utilizing these different options. Also, if you do an opposite of that, that means you are writing the object and saying that you want only 4 and 5th value from this vector, then this is how you will going to write, and you will neglect the negative sign. Apart from assigning the negative sign to each value, you can also assign a negative sign out there just before the combine command. So in this case, if I need to write it again, -C, which is combine 4, 5, and enter, the same result it will going to give me 4682, 4682. Just the fact is I'm not specifying negative sign again and again. I've just specified outside the command, and it has considered that I don't want 4th and 5th value. Now the next thing may be that I don't want any value which is lesser than 5. So in that case, I would say X, and within the bracket I would say from this X I want everything greater than 5. So in this case 6, 8 and 9, and that's how I can filter my vector. Now let's go ahead and talk about how you can create the matrices. So for that, let's just first see what matrix is. So I would write matrix help, and it will give me the help related to matrix, and it says create a matrix for given set of values, and this is how you can specify the matrix. So you need to specify the data, the number of rows you need, number of columns you need it by row or by column, and the dimension names if there is any. So let's go ahead and create a simple matrix, And with that, we will just say, okay, this is a matrix of certain numbers like 5, 9, 11, 15, 16, 19, 13, 5, 3, 2. Alright, so this is our sample data for this, and the number of rows you can specify n row, how many number of rows you need. Let's say we need 2 rows, and number of columns you can specify that number of column, how many number of column you need. Let's say we need 2 columns, and you can specify by row functionality. So that I will just tell you the difference between what happens when you say by row is equals to true or say by row is equals to false. So you can specify true and make sure that value is in caps, so that because R is case sensitive, and if you are specifying small true, this TRUE in small, then it will not going to identify. So I will just hit enter, and that's how it has created my matrix. Now because I have said only 2 rows and 2 columns, that is the matrix it identified with from the first 4 values. But if I am, let's say, again going and removing this parameter number of columns, for example, and then press the enter, then you can see that I just have 2 rows, but all the other values are into different columns. Now let's quickly go and see what happens if I am removing the row option. So if I'm removing the row, then this is how my values are coming. That means I have multiple rows but just the 2 columns. So according to your requirement, you can specify how many number of rows you need, columns you need, or if you are not specifying, then R will do its internal processing and give you the result accordingly. Now let's go and see what happens when you say by row is equals to false. So even if you remove that, it will going to take it by default as a false, because here in this example you can see that by row by default is false. So if I am doing this and removing the by row argument and entering it, now functionality is bit changed and value is coming first in column 5, 9, 11, 15, 16. Earlier it was 5 and 9 because we want first in row then in column. Now it is first in column then in rows. So that is a basic difference between when you choose the functionality by row is equals to true or false. Now let's go ahead and see how you can access this data set or access this data if you have that kind of requirement that you just want a particular row or a particular columns or multiple row and a particular column. So mix and match kind of a requirement. So to do that, we need to first store this value or this matrix into some kind of object. So we will say matrix 1. So and do the assignment, and at the end hit enter. Now if I see matrix 1, which is there, here is my value. So because I'm not specifying any argument within the brackets like I have specified above for vector, that's why it is giving me the entire matrix. So if I have the matrix and I am saying that I need second row and 5th column, so that's how you should always treat, like I have just done it, that first argument within the bracket is row and the second argument is column. So row 2, which is this, row 2 and 5th column. Now because I don't have the 5th column, it will not going to return me anything, right? So error, subscript out of bounds. So in that case, I need to come with the bounds and I would say second row and second column, and that will be 13, right? So similar way, if you want to specify that you want all the rows but the second column, then you can remove the first argument, which is for row. That means it is saying all the rows but only the second column. Okay. Now if you have some requirement that you want all the rows and you have, let's say, multiple 5 or 10 different columns and you want to get only some specific columns, then you can modify the column part or column argument like this, 1, 2. Now since I have just 2 columns, that's why it is not getting demonstrated, but let's say assume you have 10 different columns and you want just first 2 columns, and in that case it will be beneficial for you. Similarly, in case of rows, if I want just the 4th row and first and second column, then it will give me the result accordingly. So this is how you can specify, or you can actually filter the results of your matrix and get the required data. Similar to how we specified in the vector about the negative sign, you can specify over here also. So let's say you don't want the 4th row but all the other rows, then you can specify, and here in this case the 4th row which has 15 and 3 is not coming. So this is how you can fetch the data from your matrix if you have one, and perform your data analysis option. So this is pretty much all I wanted to discuss in this video about how to fetch data from vector or matrix, and I will meet you in the new video with a new topic.